You said, I believe a man should have the ability to financially support and provide for their partner before entering a committed relationship.
Yeah, and emphasis on committed because a lot of men like to date, but they might not have, like financial means to be in a position to be in a committed relationship. And that's okay. Not everybody has it, you know?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, to be in a committed relationship, like there's a lot of requirements on both ends. Like as a woman, you have to bring a lot to the table, and a man, you have to bring a lot to the table emotionally. Okay, well, there's different requirements.
There's a lot to explore there. So you said as a woman, you got to bring a lot to the table. As a man, you got to bring a lot to the table. Let's first explore what a man has to bring to the table. So what does a man have to bring to the table?
That's a different question for everybody because every girl has a different standard.
Well, let's talk about yours then.
So I like a traditional relationship. So maybe not super strictly traditional because things have changed as of the times, right? But I was raised by a dad and a mom, so traditional household, which means I do expect I see my father, he takes care of my mother in every financial way because I come from a Mexican household, and that's kind of typical, right? Yeah, and I honestly aspire, I look up to them, I want my husband to be in a lot of ways like my father. So when I date, I look for a man where I'm like, hey, look, I eventually want to settle down and have kids and be a mother. And if you feel like it's a burden to take care of your wife, I'm not the woman for you.
Exactly.
So men need to be providers, protectors, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So just very traditional, old school. If you take it back to the 80s, around then. And
you said you bring a lot to the table. What do you bring to the table?
That's a very nuanced question. What do you mean by that? Because
as a woman, you were able to.
No, it's okay.
Give us the nuanced answer.
Yeah. So okay, I'll give you an answer. I think that women do bring the vulnerability. They bring the nurturing. So they're mothers.
And what do you bring?
If you desire a wife, that's what you're gonna get from your partner.
Hang on. Because I think you misinterpreted the question. What do you bring?
That's what I will bring because that's the type of relationship I want. I want to be a wife.
So now that we've established that we're talking about you, not women, because you said what women bring is A, B, C, and D. We're just asking about you specifically. So what do you bring to the table? Can you just start from there again?
Okay. So I bring loyalty, and that's one given. I bring femininity. I bring aspects of being an anchor to my partner. So when they need something emotionally, because a lot of the times, you might not realize it, but when you're in a committed relationship with your partner, men rely a lot on their partner. And as a woman, we have those traits inherently, almost naturally in us. And I would say, that's what I've noticed. I've been such a great, emotional support to my partners.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I feel a real man who has traits of masculinity will honor that, in my opinion.
Good girl.
But hold on.
Don't you think, I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to get in your inquiry.
Go ahead. I'll go after you.
Don't you think that things like loyalty and femininity are just things that every woman you're supposed to bring to a table no matter what?
Not all women have that trait. Some women are not nurture,
hang on. I'm not saying that some women don't bring that. In fact, I would say a lot of women do not bring that. But I'm just saying as a baseline, isn't that just a standard? This is just a reasonable, normal, across-the-board expectation that somebody would have that their woman is feminine and loyal?
Exactly. Not with modern feminism.
Maybe I can clarify.
Don't get a feminist. That's the point.
Please, if I'm talking, allow me to talk. You guys keep interrupting. Okay, so you said men should be providers and protectors. I'm assuming you also want them to be loyal and masculine. And what was the other one that you said you were bringing to the table? You said loyalty, femininity, and what was the other one?
Nurturing.
You got to speak into the mic kindly.
Nurturing.
Okay. So I'm assuming you want your man to be loyal?
Yes.
And I'm assuming you want your man to be masculine?
Yes.
Okay, so you listed two really big things in terms of your expectations of men, which is providing and protecting. What is the female gendered thing that you're going to be bringing to the table? Because
think-
he's bringing masculinity, you bring
Right.
femininity.
So
you both
I would
bring
say
loyalty.
it's
What
like
do you bring
yin-
to the table?
Yeah, like a yin yang. You want the opposites of what your partner doesn't carry, right? So I'll bring what they lack, and I'll get in the receiving end what I lack as a woman. So I don't have physical strength, right? But I have emotional strength. He might not have emotional strength, but I have that. So it's like I will bring the
Well, I
traits
don't know.
where-
It doesn't seem very masculine to not have emotional strength. That
It-
seems
it
like
looks
the
different.
opposite of masculinity, right? To not have emotional strength.
I think
No,
you're
I
like
think what she
skewing
means.
Oh my God. Guys, we need really good discipline here with the interruptions and talking at the same time. Go ahead.
But like basically encompassing what I was just trying to say is we want a balance within our relationships, at least if you're somebody who likes more traditional relationships. So wherever I'm lacking, I want my partner to be, like to encompass that, and vice versa. Like that's what I want to do for my partner.
Well, to explain kind of the context of the question, why it's being asked, is I agree that there's going to be unique things that women can bring to the table that men can't. For instance, women are going to be able to have babies. Men aren't going to be able to have babies, right? So we could say that that's a unique characteristic that a woman's going to bring to the table. But when women give it the expectation that, well, I'm looking for a guy who is masculine, provides resources, this and that, and protection being a big one, we're looking for what the counter trait is that he can expect from you that he doesn't just already have as a standard, right? So like if you name a trait like loyalty, the expectation of loyalty on both ends, that's just standard, right? Love, that's going to be just standard across the board. Protection is not, though. That's something that's unique to him, not generally going to be unique to you.
Okay.
So what is like kind of the offset to that? What are these unique principles which offset that you would bring?
I think that the big one is, like I said, like being feminine. I feel like let's say like a real masculine man, there's no femininity in there. There might be small traits of being like a provider, like a protector. That's like, this shows like a sense of nurturing in their way. But
Yeah, what
that's
would the
different
offset for something like protection be?
That's what I mean, nurturing. Like that would be the
Well,
the
if you say
offset.
femininity, the offset that he's already bringing is masculinity, right?
Yeah, that's
Could I
right.
ask a question?
Yeah.
So you're married, right?
Yeah.
What traits did you look for in your wife? Like, why did you decide to pick her?
Well, that's a kind of complex, but I can give you the major reason.
Okay.
The major reason is that I knew for sure that she would be a wonderful mother to my children. More than anything else, I knew that she was going to be a wonderful mother to my children and that she was going to obey. So those were two big. Yeah, I don't know why that's funny to you.
Because I was
do you think that men want disobedient, willful women? Because they don't. They don't want that. They don't like that shit.
I thought it was sounding very sweet, and then the obey thing was like, whoa.
What's not sweet about the obey thing?
I don't know. It's the way you said it.
It's the word choice.
It's the word
It's the word choice.
Wait, don't you
I
like
actually laughed.
traditional? Don't you like traditional
I said
relationships?
it's the word choice. So he might have meant like somebody who's more submissive. There's nothing wrong with that. Like
No, I meant
said.
somebody who will obey my commands.
Yeah, I know you're
Jesus.
exaggerating, but
I like
there's
that.
no
No,
way.
I'm
There's
not
no way.
exaggerating.
Well,
Darth Vader
I don't
up
believe
in
it. I don't believe it. There's no way.
I don't know. I don't know why people think that this is so unrealistic. Yes, what I literally mean in actuality is I give command, you obey command.
So you're
in
like-
actuality.
I want to say
Yes.
something. I want to say something regarding this. I grew up in the Middle East, and what Andrew say, even the women in Israel where I come from, they all like dress sexy and look good and go to the army. All of them, when they go into relationship, except the radical feminists, of course, but the majority of women, okay, they have like a excitement to obey their man, to cook for him, to love him, to do his errands, to take care of the kids. I think for me personally, like if I have a man that I love in my life, to obey to him and to even worship him. For me, my man is my king, right? So for me, it's exciting, it's arousing, it's everything mentally. So here in America, like she said, like when a guy said, I want my woman to obey me, they're like, what the hell? Because you're so used to being independent and feminist mentality, like, oh my God, no, he's not gonna tell me what to do. I'm gonna do what I want. Like for the woman, everything what you call feminism to us, it's like literally disrespecting men, hating men. You guys treating men like they're only an ATM machine. What you can get out of them, how you can play them, how you can manipulate them. For American women, unfortunately, that's the mentality. You guys trained to have this mentality since an early age. You see girls like, oh, buy me this, take me there, pay me this. But
hang on. Let us briefly finish the exchange, because we were tangling on the exchange. And I thought that it was a fair question to ask, right? Like, what are the traits that you wanted in your wife? So let me explain so that you understand why it was that I valued what I did.
Yeah.
When I was in my early 20s, I knew a woman who had a baby. And I remember visiting with her with another friend of mine, because I knew her from school. And I remember her changing the baby, and the baby had a horrible diaper rash, awful diaper rash. Didn't look like it was very well taken care of. It looked like a pretty bad situation ultimately. And I remember thinking in my head right then and there, there's no way, right? The one thing that I would value above anything else when I have children, I want my kids always clean, always dressed. I want them always well fed. And I want to never have to worry about that. I never want to have to ever worry that mom is so fucking lazy, right, or so into herself that she's valuing herself over my child, right? Exactly. That was a big thing for me, right? Having seen what I would only consider child neglect firsthand, I was not ever going to deal with that. So that was the big thing that I valued more than anything else. But I also wanted what you would call submission, which would be an obedient wife, meaning that there was a threshold breaker in the relationship if we could not come to an agreement on a pinnacle situation or a pinnacle crossing of the hill, as it were, that I was going to be the threshold breaker. Essentially, when I said, okay, we can't agree, but we're going to have to do this anyway, that I was going to be the one who made that decision. And that's what obedience is. And so, yes, I think that these are traits that men select for and that we care an awful lot about. And so in order to do that, we have to select for women who are going to self-sacrifice for their husband and their family more than themselves. And so there's all sorts of like micro traits, which is what we're asking these questions about. What do you bring to the table? Basically, what's great about you? The idea here is to make the determination of, is there so many of these kind of tangential traits that if a man were to have children with you, are you going to fuck his kids up? Right? Are you going to mess his kids up? Are you not going to take care of them well? Are you going to be so narcissistically into yourself that you don't even pay attention to them, right? This is what men are looking for. So that's why the questions are asked.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so I just wanted to say, how do you figure out if someone's obedient? Like, did you earn the obedience, or were you like, are you obedient? Like, how did you figure that out? Because I'd like to share my situation.
I talked to her on the first date.
Yeah, you're like,
said, these are the qualities that I'm looking for, right? If there's something that I think ought be done, and you're resistant to that thing, I don't want to have a long-term relationship with you. I was just as blunt with my wife as I am with everybody I meet in life. Very clear, crystal clear about the things that I want and the expectations that I have. And you know what? In comparison to modernity, the expectations that I had were super high. Very, very high expectations. And she came with some problems of her own, but I felt like the trade-off was fine considering my expectations were so high, and she was willing to meet those expectations.